in the beginning, the origin of mankind, the human condition, and the meaning of life. The Garden of Eden. In the beginning was God who created all things, including the first man, Adam. Now, Adam had everything he could want. Well, almost everything, and so God created Eve from Adam to bring him a companion. Now, Adam and Eve did have it all. Every need was met, everything around them was beautiful, and they were loved unconditionally by their Creator. We too experience that type of wonderful creation and environment when we spring from the womb. Our earthly creators give us all we need in the beginning of our lives. But you see, we are actually called into this world by God the Creator. We are not merely biological accidents. The conception of a person, while initially lacking physical formation, is when the soul is created. While the soul can't be seen by mankind or medical science, the soul is the touch of God which He can see and which connects us to Him. How we nourish and feed that soul throughout the journey of our earthly life prepares us for the true destination of our existence, getting to God after our earthly death. That is what matters. I can recall learning about it quite profoundly growing up in the 1960s through the Baltimore Catechism. But can you remember the last time anyone has spoken about one's soul? It is probably not even topical in a homily or a Catholic lesson or class, and we assuredly never hear about it when speaking of when life begins. That's because mankind sees themselves as the creator of that child, not that God has created that child through a man and a woman. And when mankind thinks he is in charge, well, that's exactly what happened to Eve. Today it happens when the lives of innocent unborn babies, with a soul I might add, are destroyed for the convenience of mankind's priorities. You see, if you believe God is the creator of human beings, then even a human being born out of a terrible situation like rape or incest is still a soul that God has called into existence. We've seen the names of famous people who were the product of rape or incest who were allowed to live. Why do we think that God would create something or someone unworthy of life? The challenge of life for many is to understand its meaning. Why am I here? Why is life so difficult? Why aren't our life experiences all fun and enjoyable? While these are legitimate questions, they are often made without realizing we are here to know, love, and serve God, so that after our leaving this earth, we can enjoy the best possible eternity with Him. But for that, we must be patient. We must not live to merely satisfy our own pleasures, many of which are in fact sinful. Call it a test, call it a reality check, call it a wicked sense of humor on the part of God. But when we are paralyzed with the downsides of life without ever embracing the love and enjoyment of other situations and the simple beauty God puts in front of us, our woe is me attitude wipes away our ability to experience joy. As we know, even when God gave Adam and Eve a perfect situation, a perfect environment in the Garden of Eden, it simply wasn't quite good enough. Curiosity, jealousy, pride, the desire to be better and smarter than God was a temptation that the serpent understood well. And in a subtle and cunning way, the devil presented Eve with a choice that overwhelmed her curiosity and desire. Further, it was done when Adam, her caretaker, wasn't present to protect her. The devil's way of reducing the risk of the influence of that caretaker. And that action, that fall, became the original sin of mankind. And everyone since the fall has that mark upon them. And so, just as a newborn baby has a perfect world of creation with their parents there to care for their every need, the day will come in their lives when they face the temptations of mankind that we all encounter. The question is, how do we respond to those temptations? And what is our relationship with God for acknowledging our sorrow for times when we have given into those temptations and sinned? Now, I'm using the word sin, which seems to have become less and less present in our society. Some say it generates guilt or shame or even is just downright hateful. While any word can be abused, the truth of its meaning and place in our world does not go away due to hurt feelings. Sin is when we do things which separate us from God, pure and simple. And as a fact check, Merriam-Webster's dictionary even calls it a transgression of the law of God, or an offense against religious or moral law. It's pretty plain. And the church gives us some additional guideposts to help us with the 7 deadly sins and the 7 capital virtues. The capital sins are pride, greed, lust, anger, gluttony, envy, and sloth, while the juxtaposed virtues are humility, generosity, chastity, patience, temperance, kindness, and diligence. I like to think of the virtues as a toolkit. It helps us fight the sins that are ever present. We always will stumble. We're human beings. That is why within the Catholic Church, we are offered the sacrament of reconciliation. Now, this particular sacrament is actually passed down through the traditions of the church from the apostles, who were told by Jesus himself, "The sins you forgive are forgiven, those you held bound are held bound." And our priests, acting through the traditions and the 2,000 years of the Catholic Church, bring that opportunity to us to cleanse us. This topic is called in the Catechism of the Catholic Church the Sacrament of Healing, also the Sacrament of Conversion, Sacrament of Penance, Sacrament of Confession, Sacrament of Forgiveness, and the Sacrament of Reconciliation. But whatever it's called, it gives us the grace to overcome the sins that we have committed and confessed, and to give us a fresh start to practice those virtues evermore, and to avoid those sins which keep us down. And at the end of our life, the more we are close to God and the less sin that we have on our soul, the more chance we have as an opportunity to get to heaven. It isn't automatic. We have to work at that in this life. And all of us are going to die. None of us is getting out of here alive. With the original sin, death became part of life. With the risen Lord, we were given a second chance. We should leverage what God has brought to us through his Son, Jesus Christ, and through the Catholic Church to bring to our soul and to our being a person who people on this planet will love to be with, and people who we will love to be with, because at the end of all of our lives, we will be judged for what we have done and what we have not done. And it is within our power to gain heaven for eternity.